Hi, this is Rabbi Chaim Kaufman. Welcome to our 157th installment in the Torah portion of the week. We are holding by Parshas Vayeshev, a packed parsha. Parsha speaks about Yosef and the brothers. Yosef being thrown into the pit, coat of many colors. Yaakov thinks he's dead, gets sent down to Egypt, ends up in Potiphar's house, whole story with his wife, story of Yehuda and Tamar, story Yosef goes to jail, and he interprets the dreams. Plenty what to speak about. There is one aspect here I wanted to hit. That is chapter 39, verse 11. And that is the story of Potiphar's wife. One aspect I wanted to speak about, that the Torah says, again, chapter 39, verse 11, says, there was an opportune day when he entered the house to do his work. No man of the household staff be there in the house. Right, and then she grabs him, right? She caught a hold of him, verse 12, by his garment, saying, lie with me, but he left his garment in her hand, he fled. Right, he fled and went outside. So, the Torah says he came in from his work. Now, the Gemara brings out that the reality is, if you want to look at it, Sota 36b, that Rabbi Yochanan, the name of Rabbi Yochanan, teaches us both of them wanted to do the Aveira. They wanted to sin. Both of them wanted to sin. Now, you have to understand that Potiphar's wife obviously, wasn't living in Victorian England. So, she did see, through divine inspiration, that she thought she was supposed to have children with Yosef. And obviously it's not a way to try and fulfill that prophecy, but she made a mistake, go through her daughter, not through her. Right? But every day she kept trying to entice him. Right? Day in and day out. And he kept answering her, I'm in charge of the house, how could I ever do this? What about your husband? All this stuff. And in the end, the Gemara says that they both had intention to the Aveira. In other words, his defense became weak. His defense became very weak, and he was about to sin. What happened? Why didn't he sin? So he didn't sin because he saw the image of his father. In the window, right? Walking by the window, and he saw an image of his father. So Yosef said that in the future, they're going to write my brother's names, the Shvatim, right? The brothers, the tribes. They're going to write on the Avnei Ephod, on the stones that go in the Ephod of the Kohen Gadol. It's better that they remove my name from it. Right, the negative thing over here, the Gemara says, because look what he wanted to do. He didn't do it, okay, but look what he wanted to do. So, says Mori Rebbe, I rather go to Moshe Moshlita, this should be well. Brings down in Chochmah V'das. He says, look at the words of our sages over here. So you might think it only applies to Yosef and Tzaddik. Yosef grew up in the house of Yaakov. Yosef was tremendously righteous. And he got stuck in this situation. He had this trial in this situation. Added up in the fact he saw his father's image, he would have sinned. So why is it okay to us? How does it connect to us? So Rebbe says, when a person has an nisayon, when anyone has a trial, and they're about to transgress, persons should think the following. If a person transgresses and they sin, what's going to happen? So after 120 years, the person gets judged. And if a person gets judged in a negative way, what's going to happen? Right? Seemingly he's going to suffer. Right? He's going to suffer in Gehenna. He's going to suffer in hell. But he should visualize what this is going to be. In other words, when a person gets judged, and every action that we do either creates a white angel or a black angel. White angel can be stronger, can be weaker, depending on the mitzvah that we did, how we did it. Black angel can be stronger or weaker, depending on the transgression and what our intention was and all that. So Rebbe says, imagine you're about to sin. Imagine you're about to do the wrong thing. What should you have in mind? You should have in mind that if you do this, you're going to create a black angel. This black angel, since you're in the steep of desire, whatever it is, this black angel is going to be very strong. He's going to be an angel of destruction. He's going to come and rip you to shreds. Or he's going to want to rip you to shreds. Because what's the person going to think is after I die, my soul's still going to be dirty from every transgression that I do. And I'm going to be totally embarrassed. Totally embarrassed. So he says, if a person thinks about what's going to be in the end, what's going to happen to his soul, so to speak, it's bad news. Right? His soul statement is going to get ripped to shreds. You want to take that chance? It's a good deterrent. He says it's a tremendous thing to save a person from sin. You should remember the embarrassment he's going to get. Two things. Right? These destructive angels could rip you to shreds. That's pretty good deterrent. The second thing is you're going to have to be there. And you're going to have to see what you did. The embarrassment alone will probably kill you. That's what a form, that's what a form of Gehenna is. It doesn't just mean the soul gets ripped to shreds. That can also happen. But the pure embarrassment, because now you know absolute truth. And once you know absolute truth, isn't there? When you see life flash before your eyes, as it says in the Zohar, you see your life, every action you did. Alright, just when you think it was okay to read National Geographic in the bathroom, boom! You see all this, all your thoughts, all your actions. Can't deny it. Think you want to save yourself from that embarrassment? The person should think of himself just like Yosef HaTzadik, that he was afraid his name's going to not be mentioned by the Shvatim, by the other brothers, by the tribes. That stopped him to sin. Me also. How can I be embarrassed? That's going to be for eternity. So you're going to say, okay, right, we have to understand this a little bit better. Right, we'll go a little bit deeper. But Yosef HaTzadik is teaching us a lesson, my Rebbe says. Yosef HaTzadik says, really, if I do this, my name's not going to be in lights. No pun intended. My name's not going to be on the stones. Not going to be there. And he's going to be called a shepherd of prostitutes because of what he did. So Yosef HaTzadik understood, if I do this act, this is going to be forever. The spiritual world, I'm in trouble. Stops him from doing it. He's going to be in trouble because his name's not going to be on the stones. He's going to be in trouble. He's going to be embarrassed. And how we should be embarrassed of every sin that we do. So now, let's look at this a little bit on our level. Yosef, as great as he was, gets saved by seeing the image of his father. But then he thinks, if I do this, what's going to be the end result? So you're going to say, okay, we're not as strong as Yosef and Tzaddik. But Ma'aseh Avos Siman Labanim. The actions of our forefathers are a sign for us. Yosef went through this, and he was saved. The fact that he went through it, we can also fight against our evil inclination. But you're going to say, I'm not on that level. We're not on that level. Even though we have to try and aspire to reach that level. Nonetheless, what about the future? What about the ultimate embarrassment? What's going to be? So a person will say, it's not clear to me. The Torah doesn't say clear what's going to be in the next world. That there is a next world. Right? We spoke about that in Duties of the Heart. Shar B'tachon, chapter 4. In the gate of faith in God, belief in God. Why Olam Haba is not mentioned directly in the Torah. Now, for argument's sake, we understand the Torah to be true. Even though we believe the Torah is true, do we ever think in these terms? We understand there's reward and punishment. We understand there's Olam Haba. There's Gehenna. We believe firmly. But do we really? Do we live it? The Beis HaLevi, famous father of Rav Chaim Brisker, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. The Beis HaLevi, that was known as, his book was the Beis HaLevi. The Beis HaLevi, every day, wanted to feel what Gehenna was like. So what did he do? He would put his fingers over fire, not burning them, but he wanted to get close enough, he felt the heat. By the end of his life, his fingers were brown, dark brown. He wanted to feel what it was. Another good deterrent. Because he lived the reality that there's going to be reward and punishment. You got to pay for the sins that you do. Now, the $1 million question is, why don't we live our lives this way? Why don't we think in these terms? You're going to say, we're very weak. It's a weak generation. The fact that I do something wrong, or that a person does something wrong, and they just give in to their evil inclination. What about the fact that it's going to be total embarrassment, the Zohar says. You're going to see your life flash before you. You're going to know absolute truth. You don't even need Malchei Chabola, these angels of destruction. You don't even need to be afraid of them. Why not? Because imagine you just got caught red-handed with your hand in the cookie jar. Now, you may say and give reasons why, million reasons why that's the case. Meaning why you did it. You may justify it. But when you're caught red-handed, it's very hard to make up an excuse It's very hard to make up an excuse when you're caught at that level. It's not an insinuation. It's not you heard something. You saw a person in action doing what they shouldn't be doing. So the person gets upstairs after 120 years. All those bad thoughts, all those transgressions, they come and weigh upon a person. I don't even know how the soul can stand, if it could stand. Just like bricks and bricks and bricks put on top of you. All you want to do is cringe and hide. Run in a corner, black hole, something. Scream out, stop the pain. But that's part of the retribution. Right? That is going to be part of the rectification. So if we believing Jews, or even believing non-Jews, really understood this, how could you ever sin? How is it possible to go in that direction when you know what the repercussions are? What's the answer? You'll say we're very weak in our belief. I would say stronger. Maybe we don't really believe. You'll tell me it's this generation. You'll tell me evil inclination is very strong, blah, blah, blah. We can't stand up to it. May all be true. But if we remember what we're going to go through, and now, says my Rebbe, you visualize it. You visualize the embarrassment. You visualize, you fill in the transgression. As bad as it will be, that embarrassment could kill somebody. And it can happen over and over and over again. So wouldn't it be better, think of that before you do it, at least the last shot before you sin? Think about what you're going to have to answer. Think about the total embarrassment of having that hand in the cookie jar. Now, that's someone who believes we're weak, we're in trouble. And this hopefully will help us. What about someone who doesn't believe? The argument can be, you say, well, I don't believe, I'm going 6 feet under. But what if you're wrong? What if you're dead wrong? In that there's at least, I would say, a 30% chance that I'm right and that the Torah is right. A 30% chance. Are you willing to go through that for eternity? Give an example. Right, winter time, right, most places it's cold, rainy, snowy. Right, depending. You hear the weather forecast, bunch of forecasts, say 30% chance of rain. Do you walk outside with your umbrella? You say, oh, what do the weather people know? Now, it looks kind of cloudy out. Right, if it be bright and sunny, you might say, forget it. Take my chances. But it looks a little bit cloudy out. 30% chance of rain. You willing to take the chance? If you're outside for a while, probably not worth it. What if it does rain? Right, Murphy Stein's law, if I take my umbrella, it won't rain. Okay. That's Murphy's law. But even if there's a 30% chance, I would venture to think a lot of people would take an umbrella. That's by rain. You don't want to get wet. Because if I get wet, your clothes get wet, you can get sick. You don't want to take the chance. Now this might be a little bit of a jump. That's in the physical world. If in the spiritual world there are repercussions for my actions, even though I might not see it in this world, or I might not understand the connection, whatever. If there's a 30% chance that there is a next world, there is reward and punishment, there will be a serious price to pay. Are you willing to do it? So most people will say, oh, come on, you really believe in that? You really think it's true? So I say, yeah. I got a lot of reasons why I think it's true. You want to hear them? No. Okay. But what will they do? They'll make fun. They'll say, I'm a good person. I'm a cardiac Jew. Right? I'm a Jew in my heart. I may not have as big a portion as you, but I'll be okay. Now, why would somebody say that? Somebody would say that for one very simple reason. They're going to put you down, knock you around, to show that, oh, it's old, these antiquated laws, it's only for that generation, and they all ate the same hallucinogenic mushroom in the desert, and they all did these antiquated laws, they don't live in that type of society, all this and all that. It doesn't make any sense. But they'll say that and they'll make fun and all that. Why? Because what's the alternative? The alternative is they have to look themselves in the eye. Right? Look themselves in the mirror. And see what their reality is. And if they're married to a non-Jew, they have non-Jewish kids. It's a very harsh reality. Right? Why would they look into something and change if they're not willing to change their own lives? Right? To see if it's true. That's why most people never look into it, because they don't want to know if it's true. They're not interested. Right? They're ignorant. You're right. They're ignorant. But why don't... okay, so disprove it. I don't have to disprove it. I think this and I think this. Okay, you want to argue with a PhD? You going to do that with someone who's got a PhD in physics? Or other things? You're going to try and knock them out because you read something on Wikipedia? Maybe you'll do it. I mean, some people think they're knowledgeable about all kinds of things. They don't know anything. They just talk a big game. But the stakes are too high. That's why they won't look into it. Because then they have to change. And the reality is going to change. And everything they worked for, they're going to have to throw away. A lot of it. So they'll make fun and they'll scoff in this. So come on, you really believe? You believe in ghosts? You believe in these? They'll make fun. Because they're protecting their own reality. But if someone told me, I'm going 6 feet under, and I said, yeah, but what if I'm right? What if there's a chance the Torah's true? So we answered, people like this are not going to move. They're not going to be interested in moving because it's going to change their whole reality. And if they have to change their own reality, they could lose everything. Friends, spouse, family members. But isn't really the bottom line, is Torah true or it's not? So 90% of world Jewry doesn't care. They're apathetic. This is not going to help them. I'm just asking logically. What if there's a chance? If there's a 30% chance that it might rain, you're going to take an umbrella. Because that's real. You're going to say, this isn't real. Oh, it's not real? Got a lot of proof over here. That there's reward and punishment. We got stories, Talmud, other things that bring down that this could definitely be true. You're just not interested. Because if you're proven wrong, it's game over. So at the end of the day, it's like Aristotle. He only understood things that he saw. Anything beyond that, forget it. Doesn't exist. So they'll say, that's looking at reality. Reality is what I see. What I can fathom. I can fathom spiritual things, ghosts and that. As my Rebbe says, I've never met anyone been in that world and come back. True! But there's enough out there, enough stories. And there are enough sources out there to show, as the Rambam says in 13 Principles of Faith, there's reward and punishment. God sees everything, King David says. Right, from one end of the world to the other. Right, the Rambam says God knows the thoughts of man. One of the 13 principles. So just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So well, some people will be chutzpahdik and they'll say, yeah, I know it doesn't exist. Really? How do you know? When someone dies, they die. Really? You ever heard about people that had out-of-body experiences, what they go through? They're clinically dead? You ever hear stories? You know, people who brought up souls, knew how to bring up souls, and that's what goes on in that world? There's a story written in the Chevra Kaddish, in the book of the Chevra Kaddish in Vilna. Rav Shach, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. Rav Yecheskel Abramsky, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May both their names be blessed. They saw it written down. The story, just tell this story, because it's a good story. The story with the Vilna Gaon's wife. Vilna Gaon's wife and a friend made a deal. And they said whoever dies first should come back to the other in a dream and tell them what's going on in heaven. Like if they dream, shmeem, this, that. This is what happened. The Vilna Gaon's wife's friend died first. And she came to her in a dream. And she said, you don't know, you don't understand the Dikduk Adin, the specific judgment that goes on in heaven, even for little things. You remember once we were walking on the street, and there was a poor person on the other side. So we wanted to give him charity, so we motioned over, we said, come, we have money for you. God took me to task for that. Why? Because we should have gone to him. Why should we matriach him? Why should we make him come to us? That every step you take, you get the mitzvah of giving to him. So how do I know that story is true? Because she told that story the next day to her husband, the Vilna Gaon. And the Vilna Gaon wrote that down in the Chronicles of the Chevra Kaddish. Right, in the book of the Chevra Kaddish in Vilna. So Rebbe tells the story. He said it's verified because Rav Shach Zatzal and Rav Yecheskel Abramsky were both in Vilna and went there and saw it. They saw it written down. Now you can tell me, well, it's a very nice story. Maybe it's just a bunch of hocus pocus. Maybe it's a lie. She had a dream. Dreams don't mean anything. In general, it's true. Unless it's a king. Or it's prophecy or whatever. But this wasn't taken lightly. You know who the Vilna Gaon was? He could have been a Torah giant in the time of the Rambam. He felt himself, as the Gaon as he was, that not only was the story true, he wrote it down, put it in the Chronicles, put it in the book of the Chaver Kedisha, which again was verified by Rav Shachar and Cheskel Abramsky. They saw it written there. So you want to bring a proof that the soul exists in the next world from one story? I can bring a bunch of stories. That's not the point. People like that, you bring 10 stories, they'll say, very nice story. What about all the people, just give one other example. What are all these people that have out-of-body experiences? Jew or non-Jew say the same thing. They see their soul hover over the body. They're drawn to this light, this great light. They see the light flash before their eyes, exactly what the Zohar says. Right? They see everything they've done in their lives. They all say the same story. The ones that come back to the body. Obviously, the ones that don't come back to the body, they die. That shows there's a soul. That shows that things are recorded. They all can't lie. They don't have an agenda. Right? You might say, well, they all have an agenda to show that, there's life after death. There'd be a lot of people. Jews maybe, I'd understand. Why would non-Jews, give this over? Say, well, they also have a soul. True. Not the same as a Jew, but you're right. Also has a soul. So if they say the same thing, exactly as the Zohar brings it down, coincidence? But see, people like this not going to want to listen. Because they're not intellectually honest. And they're not open-minded as they claim. Only to what they want to hear. So there are ways to prove it. At least to put a chink in the armor to say maybe it did happen. Those two stories alone up the odds. I'd say we're up to 30-35%. That the Torah is true. You want to go get into papyrus? And the fact that the Jews were in Egypt? And that they escaped and all the natural quote-unquote disasters that happened there? Documented. Alright, we're up to 40%. 45%. So I'm not going to go further. If you're up to that amount, or you're almost at 50% in my language, according to my criteria, how could you ever take the chance? We're not robots, but it's certainly a good deterrent to stop you from doing something wrong. But the bottom line is, we don't believe it. As Orthodox Jews, we don't believe it. Otherwise, how can we ever sin? You can say, come on. It's a stretch. It's a very big stretch over here. We're a very weak generation. What, people just give in to their evil inclination? Well, what can I do? It's not the Torah way. Torah way doesn't want you to do that. You fall into the trap, that's your problem. But it's not an excuse. So my Rebbe here says, if you're really a Torah-believing Jew or non-Jew, then what you have to do is you're going to have to change your mindset. You're definitely going to have to change your mindset. We're not going to be perfect. God doesn't expect us to be perfect. According to the source of our soul, we have to work very hard. And if we have greater potential, we don't reach it, that's also bad. But here I have to worry about the embarrassment. I have to be worried about being ripped to shreds. It's a good deterrent. I would think just the sheer embarrassment would be enough. But obviously there's something lacking in our emunah. There's something stopping us from putting it from our minds to our hearts. That we have to work on. Right? That all emunah we have to work on for that. Because we always say knowing the right thing to do and doing it, two different things. It's time we started waking up. It's time we became more sheltered. Right? It's time we just shut off our machines and do what we're supposed to do. Doesn't matter, you need it for work, whatever. When you don't need it, shut it off. Tune out and tune into God's world. Tune into Torah, tune into mitzvahs, tune into Musar. Right? Tune in to times when you're not working to what God wants us to do. To strive and go in the right way. And you have to build on that and continue. We live in a messed up world. Totally messed up world. And we're the ones who messed it up. But that being the case, we got to fight hard against it. We have to be more insulated. We have to work on our shmiras einayim, what we see, what we hear, who we hang out with. Are there a lot of people we shouldn't speak to? Sure. Foul mouth, foul things they think, whatever, even if they're family. You think, what's the matter if I say that? You're going to be affected? Yeah, we're going to be affected. Because it doesn't make a person cringe when someone curses or whatever. It means there's something wrong with you. You got so used to it, you think, oh, that's normal. Who says it's normal? Not supposed to be. Our sensitivities are way down. Some of our sensitivities, unfortunately, are like the sensitivities of the street, which aren't too many. Live and let live. You say, oh, it doesn't matter. You're okay. I'm okay. You gotta work hard. Life's about striving. Life's about doing the right thing. Life's about having proper fear of heaven. Because if we had proper fear of heaven, I wouldn't have to waste 40 minutes now going through this. You see, we're all a bunch of fakes. Could be. We're just going through the motion. Could be. At the end of the day, we have to want to be better. At the end of the day, we have to want to strive. But Rav Yechezkel Levenstein, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, the Mashgiach Panovich of the Mir Yeshiva, emunah to him was like eating ice cream. He felt it, lived it. Rebrevda, one of his main students, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, is by him for the Passover Seder. And he would set up 2 benches and go through and say, Mitzrayim Minkumen, the Egyptians are coming. Would act it out, make it real. I can say, yeah, that was his generation. We're much weaker. It's not an excuse. You know, people think it's an excuse. Got to strive. Got to want to grow. Want to be the best we can be. It's not enough. Do things by rote. Not enough. Okay, I keep kosher, I keep Shabbos. Keep what I'm supposed to keep. Very good. So stop giving me Musar. There are higher levels to reach. You know where it's going to be, in the next world? Because you don't believe properly. If you did, probably wouldn't sin as much. You have to focus your mind. You have to focus your thoughts. You have to focus your entire body at all times. And that's hard. It's not impossible. And if we do that, we can be the great people that we should. So I want to remind everyone, I do 2 Q&As every week, Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock in the morning New York time, 5 o'clock Israel time. I also have a class on duties of the heart every Tuesday, 9 o'clock at night, New York time. And we are speaking about belief in God, faith in God, when it comes to livelihood and other things. I also have a class in the book of Leviticus, chapter 11, working our way through kosher animals, non-kosher animals, etc. That's every Sunday, 9 o'clock in the morning, New York time, 4 o'clock Israel time. 2 conversion classes. 2 conversion classes every Sunday, 4 o'clock New York time, every Thursday, 9 o'clock New York time. Wishing everyone a great Shabbos.